what you think of that last UFC game?
It was alright. You know, I like the career mode.
Hey everyone, welcome back to John's Watch. This video is presented by the EA Creator Network, which just means that EA very kindly gave me a review code for this game. Today I'm taking a look at UFC 5 on the PS5. This was released on October 26, 2023. Its regular price is $90 Canadian for the standard edition, or the regional equivalent, and it's developed and published by EA. So just the way my PS5 recording setup works means I can't really do very good live commentary when I'm recording a PS5 game. So this video is just going to be post-commentary, and I recorded footage for pretty much the whole time I played UFC 5 on the PS5. So that's what you're going to see in the background is just footage from my first. I think I probably spent about 3 to 4 hours playing the game so far. So I also took a look at UFC 4 on the PS4. Back in 2020 it was now, and I just played UFC 4 for the video. I, played it in advance, kind of like this video. I played it for a bit, then recorded my video, and then didn't go back to it. And so I haven't played that game since August 2020 is when my video came out. And pretty much like half an hour into UFC 5, I was like, man, this is very, very similar to to the last UFC game I played 3 years ago and that I don't really remember much about, but I thought I didn't remember much, but it feels very, very similar. There's obvious, technical performance improvements. This is the first game that's actually made for the current consoles, PS5 and whatever the Xbox is called now. Whereas the last UFC game was only on the PS4 era, although I believe you could download the PS4 version of UFC 4 on PS5 and play it at 60 FPS. But UFC 5 was designed to be played on the newest consoles, and it looks a lot better for sure. I'll work in some footage of UFC 4 in this video somewhere because I can use my video footage. And yeah, UFC 5 definitely looks a lot better. It does mostly play at 60 FPS. I don't actually have any way of monitoring the frame rate for any games I play on PS5. I feel like I can see it dropping sometimes, but for the most part, especially in the actual fights, which is where it's important, those always feel like pretty solid 60 FPS. However, there's actually no video settings or graphic settings at all on UFC 5, which really surprised me. Like, I haven't played a ton of stuff on my PS5. It's mostly been Persona dancing games, Demon's Souls and Ghost of Tsushima. But Demon's Souls and Ghost of Tsushima both have, some graphics options, at least the option to switch between performance mode and cinematic mode. So I just thought that new games coming out on these new sort of consoles would, finally be a bit more like PC and give users graphic settings and stuff. Like, obviously, the Switch isn't going to do that because the Switch can't change graphic options. But yeah, I was just surprised that there wasn't any graphics options at all, or video options, or anything really for this game. It's not really the end of the world. Like I said, it does. I was playing at 4K 60 FPS. Like I said, it looks really good. Mostly 60 FPS all the time. But there were definitely some things I wish I could change. I'm playing it on the TV, so I'm sitting back on my couch. And my god, the text in this game is so tiny. It'll probably look fine on the YouTube video wherever you're watching it, unless you're watching it on TV from a couch, then you might experience what I saw. The subtitle text seems to be totally fine. That's very readable, apart from the color options they used for it. I think they needed like a thicker border around the text, or like a more prominent drop shadow behind it. Because definitely sometimes if there's something too light behind the subtitles, I struggled to read those as well. But the subtitles were mostly okay. It was definitely just some of the UI text was so small. Just couldn't read it at all. I mean, I could read it, but couldn't easily read it. It was a real struggle to make it out sometimes. So I was just surprised there wasn't an option to do anything with the UI scaling or any video options. There's a pretty massive roster of fighters in this game. There's 11 weight classes, which is very impressive. There's, I think, 3 women's weight classes as well. and so 8 men's weight classes. There's all the usual people you'd expect, you know, all the huge stars. Like, you start off playing as John Jones, which, fuck John Jones, though that wasn't the best, but you know, all the people you'd expect to be in the game are in here. But there's also some fun surprises. There's Muhammad Ali, there's Mike Tyson, there's 3 different versions of Bruce Lee. I think these are, you know, in deluxe editions or pre-order bonuses or something. They're unlocked for me. I don't know where they come from. But yeah, you've got some fun ones like that. And then, really hilariously, is 2 other fighters that you can play as are UFC President Dana White, who I don't think has ever fought, and I'm sure is not in as good a shape as his character appears in game. And also UFC ring announcer Bruce Buffer, who I also don't believe has ever fought in his life, and also probably doesn't look as good as he does in game. So yeah, really, really big roster, really impressive roster. Unfortunately, it is missing notable massive bitch CM Punk. He was, I guess, still on the UFC roster, technically, for UFC 4, because I remember I definitely played as him when I played UFC 4, so that was like one of the first things I went looking for was, is he still technically on the roster? Did he make the game? He did not make the game at all, which is good, because he is a massive bitch. A couple of characters also have alternate versions of themselves. I think it's like their origin version or something. So like Conor McGregor has like his current version, and he also has, I don't know, like his 2018 version or something like that. Same with Israel Adesanya, also has like his like rookie version or something, like his when he first started, which is very cool. Just, yeah, but very impressive roster. A big new feature in this game is realistic injury mechanics, I guess. Your characters, or both the characters in the Octagon, if they get punched in the face too much, they'll start bleeding from their face, and they'll be like more susceptible to taking damage in the face. So like if you punch your opponent multiple times in the face, like you'll get like a little pop-up in the bottom right sometimes saying, hey, you've done a lot of damage to your opponent's face. If you keep working on it, they're gonna really hurt. And visually you can definitely see the injuries. Like there's some pretty gnarly like close-ups of injuries, which I'm not going to show in this video because they are kind of gross, and also YouTube would hate it. But yeah, like you can definitely see blood quite prominently in this game, which yeah, the more in-depth injury mechanics is a new feature. There's obviously, you know, kind of a free play where you just pick your fighter, you pick your opponent's fighter, you pick your arena, you pick how many rounds, and if you want like a belt on the line, and you can just fight like that. But one of the main things I like about these kinds of games is the career mode, where you make yourself in the game, which I obviously didn't do. If it's on screen now, I started trying to make myself and just couldn't get it looking like anywhere close to me. And I was like, okay, not gonna do my actual self. Let's just go big white hair. Why not? Because it looks great. But yeah, I really like doing the career mode where you can make yourself in the game. You start out from the bottom. You train with, I'm sure he's the same coach from UFC 4. I'll have to double check in the footage, but I'm sure he was. And you just slowly work your way up. You do a couple of like backyard fights. You get asked to come on Dana White's Contender Series. If you're like me, you absolutely fuck up the Dana White's Contender Series fight and then have to keep working your way up again. But yeah, I really like the career mode. There's a bit too much stuff between fights for me personally. You have to, you know, scout out your opponent. You have to promote your fight. You should really be doing like drills and stuff between the fights, which are just kind of repetitive training exercises, but you kind of need the points you get from doing those in order to make your fighter better. So yeah, I really like the career mode, but I do find there's a bit too much downtime between fights, which, I mean, you know, it's realistic, I guess. I just don't know if I'm going to stick with it for much longer because, yeah, I just want to do the fights, really, and there's too much stuff between the fights for me personally. there's an online store and in-game currencies, because of course it is. Of course there is. It's EA. I haven't even looked to the store. I haven't felt any need to. I think all you can get is new clothes and fight gear and stuff. I really don't care about it, so I just put my fighter gear together with whatever was already unlocked. I don't need to look at the store, and I feel like most people probably will not need to look at the store, but it is there, because of course it is. I think the last thing to talk about is another new feature in this game is the really, really realistic replays that you get. I'll have some of them on screen now, but I think they put a lot of work into the slow motion replays and stuff. Typically, replays in sports games get kind of iffy and like characters ragdoll and look weird and just kind of collapse. I'm sure you see it a lot in like WWE games, especially at launch. But so far, the replays I've seen in this game are super realistic. They look really, really good. Characters, crumple to the floor like exactly as you'd expect them to when, they lose all, feeling in their legs and just have to collapse. So yeah, the replays are pretty impressive. So not too much more to say about this one, really. It does feel really, really similar to UFC 4 as far as I can remember. But obviously this is the version that's getting updates. I believe it gets like fighter and roster updates, like after a pay-per-view. If like a title changes hands, I believe your game updates to reflect that, which is a very cool idea. But yeah, I was having a good time with it. I was really enjoying it. There you go, that was a look at UFC 5 on PS5. Thank you guys very much for watching. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!